Hello friends, so today's video is going to be about some fantasy continuations that are in the works, some of which we know next to nothing about, but then some other ones that are going to be released very soon. And some of them, even the ones that are going to be released soon, I don't know how many people have them on their radar, so hopefully this video will be informative. Before jumping into it, a big thank you to Book of the Month for working with me on today's video. Book of the Month is an online book subscription service with 5 to 7 brand new hardbacks to choose from every single month. This month there were 7 selections, the first one being a thriller called Girl Forgotten. In Karen Slaughter's latest, a newly minted marshal on assignment can't help being drawn into a gruesome cold case. After that we have Small Angels, which is a gothic fiction. In this small village where even the trees have secrets, a wedding reunites old friends and awakens ghosts of the past. We also have Bronze Drum, a historical fiction. This epic tale of sisterhood and reclaiming homelands will have your heart pounding in your chest like drums of war. There's also a thriller called Daisy Darker. Crumbling estate? Check. Bundle of family secrets? Check. Folks getting picked off like flies? Check. Trust no one. We also have a contemporary fiction, When We Were Bright and Beautiful. In this gripping story set in the shadows of New York's elite, one family begins to unravel in the wake of a scandal. And then we have a literary fiction called The Many Daughters of Afong Moy. Moving and kaleidoscopic, this lyrical story of inheritance explores the ties that binds us to past and future family. And then last, we have a horror story called The Devil Takes You Home. The surreal borderland genre bender follows the violent journey of one man trying to hold his family together. I love that you have so many different options with Book of the Month. You can skip a month if there isn't one that's catching your attention, and you can use credits to get books from before, or you can do add-ons. But regardless, if you're interested in checking Book of the Month out, I will have a code in the description bar so you can get your first book for $9.99. A big thank you again to Book of the Month for working with me on today's video, and now jumping into it. So this is specifically about worlds, fantasy worlds that already exist, and then there's either going to be a continuation with the series, meaning there's already an established conclusion to the series, and then we're going to get more in that series or more in that world. I'm going to start with the ones that we don't know all that much about, but that we've been given confirmation for. So the first two, we have Shades of Magic, and then we have Raybearer. Shades of Magic, of course, being by V.E. Schwab. She has been hinting at for years that there's going to be more books in the Shades of Magic world. And we also have seen in the third book of that trilogy, there definitely seems to be some hints that there's more to the world, there's more to the magic than we get within those first 3 books. And she has just done so many other things since then, but she has confirmed that we will be getting Threads of Power. And currently on Goodreads, it has the first one in what should be a trilogy. It has the first one listed for next year, 2023, which makes me so excited. She has posted some sneak peeks of that continuation on her Instagram. So if you are somebody who is interested in keeping up to date with this, I'll have her Instagram link. That seems to be where she often gives people sneak peeks. We also know with this continuation that you are going to be seeing some of our characters from the original series. That's another thing, because sometimes with continuations, with Mistborn Era 2, for example, that takes place 300 years after the events of the original trilogy, Threads of Power is not going to have centuries after. It's not going to take place that much longer after. So you will be seeing some of our main characters. I don't want to list any specific character names, because if you've never jumped into Shades of Magic, you might not want to know who lives and if there are any deaths or anything like that, so I'm going to refrain from saying any specific character names, but it is exciting to know that we're going to see some of our favorites again. Raybearer is probably the one that I know the least about, and that I think all of us know the least about. So with this particular story, it's a duology, Raybearer and Redemptor by Jordan Fueco, and this is a series that I think is criminally underhyped. So it has fantastic ratings, so it's not underrated. It is rated, I think, very well, but not all that many people have picked it up, especially when you compare it to something like Shades of Magic. However, the duology is fantastic. There's a lot of really powerful themes in it, and the world is so interesting, but it is a somewhat more intimate setting. You really only follow one main character, and that main character interacts with side characters, and they do travel to different areas in the world, but still it feels rather self-contained. So I'm really excited because the author on their Instagram was saying that we will be returning to this world, and that makes me so excited. After that, a lot of you are, I know, huge fans of this particular trilogy, and I'm sure you're aware, but just in case you're not, Holly Black has announced that we will be returning to the world of the folk of the air. Of course, that being Cruel Prince, Wicked King, and Queen of Nothing. So the new one is going to be Stolen Heir. The plan for it is that it will be a duology. It is going to follow a character from the original trilogy who was a child in the trilogy, and now that character is older. The other exciting thing about this one is it comes out very soon, or at least the projected release date is very soon. The projected release date is January of 2023. With the release of Book of Night, which is completely unrelated to Folk of the Air, I wasn't expecting Holly Black to have a new book out so soon. I especially wasn't expecting one to be within a very already well-established, very popular world. So that's exciting. It seemed like everybody was doing Book of Night, so I would have thought they'd have waited a little bit and sort of had the coattails of success for as long as they could and then jumped into Folk of the Air and the continuation for that. But they're like, nope, we're going to get this one out very soon. So that is exciting. I am interested to see because the character was a child in the first trilogy, and the characters in that story and the Fae and the way they interact and the way they behave toward one another is very cruel. It is very wicked. So I'm very curious to see how this child, who has been somewhat molded by all the other characters in the original trilogy, is going to be in this continuation. After that, we have a graphic novel by Leigh Bardugo, and that would be Demon in the Woods. So this is a prequel graphic novel following The Darkling. And I know a lot of people absolutely love The Darkling. A lot of people might not be aware that this story already exists. So it's not a brand new story, it's just a form of an adaptation because it's going from book form to graphic novel form. I am excited. I like that we're starting to see more crossover between books and graphic novels. V. Schwab, for example, has a lot of graphic novels that I actually need to read that are in the Shades of Magic world. She has one in the Vicious and Vengeful world. But regardless, it is going to be, I think, really fun. I like the art style from what I've seen thus far. And this one comes out very soon. It comes out September 27th. According to Goodreads, this came out as an ebook and it was only 30 pages long, so it was apparently quite short. And it has a relatively high average rating. It's 3.94, so it's not the highest of ratings, but it's pretty good, especially for something that's so short. I know a lot of fantasy fans. It's hard to please us when something is that low in page count, but for the graphic novel, if you're interested in it, here is the description. It says, before he led Ravka's second army, before he created the Fold, and long before he became the Darkling, he was just a lonely boy burdened by an extraordinary power. Eric and his mother, Lena, have spent their lives on the run, but they will never find a safe haven. They are not only Grisha, they are the deadliest and rarest of their kind, feared by those who wish to destroy them, and hunted by those who would exploit their gifts. They must hide their true abilities wherever they go. But sometimes deadly secrets have a way of revealing themselves. Discover the start of a grand and sinister destiny in this must-have graphic novel prequel to the best-selling series and international Netflix sensation Shadow and Bone. Last for today, we have Ruination. This comes out September 6th. I don't think very many people are even aware that this exists and that it's coming out so soon. But once you hear what it is, I think a lot of you are going to be really grateful that it comes out so soon. So this takes place in the League of Legends world. That would be related to Arcane. So Arcane, the amazing Netflix show, I know a lot of you watched it, I know a lot of you loved it. It is one of the greatest things I have ever seen. The storytelling is amazing, the character arcs are amazing, the animation style, the music, the voice acting. It is basically perfect in my opinion. I absolutely love that show. And it was originally based off of the League of Legends video game. As somebody who is a huge fan of video games, it does sadden me that it is very rare that we get a good adaptation of a video game. It basically never happens. And Arcane somehow was one of the greatest, it's not just one of the best adaptations of a video game, it's one of the best shows ever. So now, typically I would say, if you have a novel that's come out that takes place, and it's based off of some kind of already well-established franchise, usually I'm not all that interested, but with League of Legends, I am going to check this out because they have proven that when they take something that is rooted in the League of Legends world and they do some form of an adaptation with it, so far, they've destroyed it. So far, it's fantastic. So, if you're curious what Ruination is about, man, it's so bizarre to me. Sorry, I just have to say, there are only 3 ratings so far for this. And usually when things aren't quite out yet but are close to being out, there's more than that. There's usually some advanced reader copies and things like that. And if you're curious, it says it's going to be put out by Orbit. And Orbit is a very well-established fantasy publisher. So that gives me a lot of hope too. But regardless, the synopsis says, the first ever novel set in the blockbuster universe of League of Legends, one of the most popular video games of all time. Ruination is an epic tale of magic, revenge, and an empire on the verge of ruin. Camivore is a brutal land with a bloody legacy. Where the Empire's knights go, slaughter follows. Callista seeks to change that. When her young and narcissistic uncle Viego becomes king, she vows to temper his destructive instincts as his loyal confidant, advisor, and military general. But her plans are thwarted when an assassin's poisoned blade strikes Viego's wife, Isolde, afflicting her with a malady for which there is no cure. As Isolde's condition worsens, Viego descends into madness and grief, threatening to drag Camivore down with him. Callista makes a desperate gambit to save the kingdom. She searches for the long-lost Blessed Isles, rumored to hold the Queen's salvation if only Callista can find them. But corruption grows in the Blessed Isles capital, where a vengeful warden seeks to ensnare Callista in its cruel machinations. She will be forced to choose between her loyalty to Viego and doing what she knows is right, for even in the face of utter darkness, one noble act can shine a light that saves the world. I am so excited for that. I cannot wait. I hope it's fantastic, especially because we're gonna have to wait a while before we get season 2 of Arcane, so I need something to tie me over. But anyway, that's it for some continuation. Again, a big thank you to Book of the Month for working with me on today's video. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.